Morning all. See a few of you have already turned up bright and early. Alright, what we got? Morning Paul, morning John, morning Lee, morning Steve, morning John, morning Colin. Morning Derek. Hi John. Joe's here just setting his phone up to abuse his old dad. Morning Steve. Morning Fred. We're all getting here this morning, are we? Morning Steve. Another week has passed. Morning Michael Stratton. Morning Steve. Nice and warm. Morning Pat. How you doing mate? Nice and warm. It's warm in here. Morning Mark. Morning Terry. Hello Russell. Yeah, bacon in here. I've got the old extractor. Helen Bailey, good morning. The queen of the cable ties. Morning Nick. Morning Steve. What hat? I haven't seen a hat. Don't know what you're talking about. Morning Baz. Morning Henry. Good to hear. And then we got a few minutes and we'll get going on today's project. Yeah. I think the wood's going to be a little challenging, but I'll explain that as we go along. Oh, don't let them see that. There's a shaving on the camera. Let's get rid of that. I vacuumed and everything. No, I did actually this morning. I had the old super vacuum out. Give it a quick blast down. Morning Roger, morning Bob. My head looks cold. I'm perspiring in this jacket. Perspiring I am. Morning Jax. I always pronounce that wrong, but I'll just call you Jack. That'll be easier. Yeah, so another week has gone, eh? Disappeared. Morning YV, morning Derek. Well, we had news on the broadband front. Yeah. Monday, a little engineer turned up from Openreach. I thought, oh, this is a result. And he was just surveying the area. Ellen, this is spotless. Spotless, this workshop. So he said, I'm just surveying. I said, no. Morning, Mr. Walt. Bit warm for a hat, Mike. Phew, baking in here. And so we walked him round the property. And it's only a little bloke. And the cable's about 6 metres up in the air. He said, I don't think I've got a ladder that tall. Anyway, so he said, we're coming next week, as in sometime between Monday and Friday next week, and he's going to install the fibre cable. And I thought, result, fibre for next weekend. Then the bad news. he doesn't connect it up. Well, Tony, he doesn't connect it up, no. Another team have to come out to connect up, and they will book an appointment once the cable is installed. So there was a big hooray, and then there was a big ah. So, hopefully, sometime in the next 2-3 weeks, we'll have fibre. So then when I'm doing these demos, instead of watching on your little iPhones and iPads and computer screen, you can put me on your big 50-inch monitors in full Technicolor. How's that? Well, Clive, sorry if I'm missing anybody, I've been waffling on. I am not a wuss, Mr. Walt. I am not a wuss. YouTube, you just asked me what you think of this video. What do they say? Loads of laughs. I missed the beginning of that, so I can't answer if it was aimed at me, because I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. So we're going to get going in just a moment or two.
No, it's genuinely asking questions. It's just that YouTube have asked me what I think of this video. What do I say?
Oh, what do you say? Excellent. Best thing you've ever seen. Morning, Andy.
Up there with the likes of the two Ronnies.
Up there with the likes of the two Ronnies, Joe's just said. Yeah, something like that. Well, the plan for today is we're going to do a bit of wood turning and a bit of colouring and a bit of whatever comes along. Morning, Stuart. Oh, you're watching on a 60-inch TV. Well done, Mark. Just brush my hair back, get ready for the camera. Right, so we're just about to get going. Hold on just a second, I want to try something. Turn it off. You missed that? Always wear your face mask. And I'll go again with me hat. Thank you, Mike Walt. Lovely hat. Look at that. Even with me mask on, you know it is, because my name's on the top. Everyone should have one. Right, so seriously. Oh. Don't wear that sort of face mask.
Well done, Trevor. Yes, it is a big improvement.
Let's get serious. If you're going to wood turn, this sort of face mask, not me painted one. I was thinking that I'd do the demo wearing that all the way through, but I'm telling you now, I'm sweating and we ain't even started, so I'm afraid, Mike, I'm going to have to save the old hat for the winter. I'll put my face shield down there. So, let's get going. What we're going to do today, I'll put a picture up.
Carol said it's scary how well that suits you.
We've got this bit of horse chestnut burr. Now, our problems. This piece of wood, this is over 12 inches in diameter, or just over, sort of 12 inches in diameter, and it is probably, at its highest point, nearly 8 inches thick. This should be a struggle to pick up. You know, this should weigh something, and it doesn't. It's quite light. I think you can get the idea. It's quite light. So, we're going to try and turn a piece of wood that is past its sell-by date. Now, the problem is it's not going to cut too well, so we're going to have to use fine cuts. I might should be able to show you a few techniques to get over it if you've got a light piece of wood, because I think the pattern in this is going to be stunning. So we'll see. So if I come to an overhead camera, what we're going to do is put the blank on there. Because of the size and because of the structure of the timber is not completely sound, what we're going to use is a faceplate, and we use a faceplate when we want to secure something that's a little bit suspect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my centre finder to give me a rough centre that I'm going to work off of, and it's somewhere around there. My 12-inch line is in here, so that's that. I'm going to set a caliper up to 60 mil. There, ish. It's only ish. It's just so I can see where the faceplate's got to go, and I'll put a mark in the middle. This is just the way I do it, and because I'm an idiot, oh, there we go. I think my 60 mil line is going to be somewhere around there. So now I can get my faceplate, drop my faceplate on, use my line as a guide. You've got a good shot of my head there. Line as a guide, and get it roughly into centre. Of course, we're turning it round, so it don't matter too much. Now I've got some 35mm, 40mm screws. I want a bit of depth on the fixing, and I'm just going to wind them in gently into there. I'm not going to tighten them all the way up yet. That's not good. I can virtually push that screw into there, so that's not good. I ought to learn and just turn nice easy blanks for you, rather than cause myself problems. But where's the fun in that, eh? Where is the fun in that? I'll just tighten these up a little bit. Don't want to over tighten them so I don't strip the thread. Now I am going to be wearing a face shield when we start this, because it could go wrong all over it. Now normally when I'm demonstrating to you guys, the wood's safe and I just have my safety specs on. I'm comfortable with that, but you know, realistically I do that more for sound, so you can hear me when I remember to turn the microphone on, that is. Now, what I didn't check earlier, because I'm stupid, don't answer that, is because it's not quite round, will it turn over the lathe bed? And it just does it. So that's good. Now make sure that's nice and secure. It's a faceplate ring that sits in the chuck, and the chuck opens up into the recess on the back. Before I turn the lathe on and get covered in whatever's going to fly off, I just want to see if any of this bark is really loose. So we're just going to peel off the bark so we haven't got that catapulting around. You can see it's just falling off of here, so we don't want that. Now, the plan. There is a plan. With a piece of wood like this, where we've got such an undulating surface, we're going to get voids in the bowl. So it's not going to be a proper bowl, as in it's going to be a voided sort of useless bowl, but hopefully it should be alright. But this wood is quite soft in places, so we'll see. It might be too bad, and if it's too bad then I'll find another piece of wood and do something else, but we're not going to give up that easily. So, oh, we got bugs. The old bug will be flying across the room in a minute. High speed bug alert. He's trying to hide under the bark that I'm peeling off. He's just about to be launched into orbit. That's another reason why you wear a face shield on wood like this, so you don't eat the bugs as they start flying around. Now, to show you, you should be able to see there's mould and that in here. That's just the decaying wood. So you can see this bark's coming off quite easy. So that would catapult off quite easily when we turn the lathe on. So we'll just get rid of anything that wants to come off easily. There, I think we're about there. The rest of it will have to turn off. That's fixed. That's fairly secure. There's a loose bit, let's get rid of that. We don't want things flying around the workshop unnecessarily if we can help it. So, and it's going to be turned away anyway, so if we can ping it off, let's ping it off. There's a bit more. It's like a jigsaw, isn't it? Release one bit and you get a load more come off. There we go. There's a loose bit there. That bit's now loose, so we'll get rid of that. We'll try to get rid of that. And we've got to try and get, in this high point, some sort of mounting. So I'm not sure yet if we're going to be able to use a spigot or a socket, but we'll unearth the problems as we go. Virtually all the bark off now. Right, there's a bit there. Does that one there? That wants to come as well. Right, so there's our bark off. Now I've just got to kick that out of the way. I've got chunks of bark everywhere. I don't want to be tripping them over in a minute. So there, let's get rid of that. Right, our bark is away. Now for safety, I'm going to bring up the towel stock. Let's get that. Right, bark's out of the way. We're going to bring up the towel stock for as long as we can, and we're going to move the tool rest around into a position where we can start tackling this easily. And now there's a catch point, get rid of that, bring the tool rest around a little bit more like that. There's another bit of loose bark I missed. I can get a bit closer. I want the tool rest as close as I can get it without it catching, because the wood's soft. If we go and get a clonk on the tool rest, it'll probably dislodge the screws, and we'll have a bit of horse chestnut burr
Oh, that's an idea.
flying across the room.
Charlotte Hay should have power washed it to start with. That way it killed all the bugs and got rid of the bark at the same time.
Charlotte, I do power wash wood like this, so good point. I do power wash wood like this, but not when it's as fragile as this, because I might not be left with a piece of wood.
Toothpick.
So, we're ready to go. So, face shield, that's on. Joe's out the way. Stand out the way. Turn the lathe on. And slowly turn the speed up. Now, we're not going to be spinning too fast here to start with, because it's well out of balance. I hope you can hear me under the shield. And now we're just going to come along the tool rest very gently, hands really low. And we're not trying to cut too much wood here, we're just trying to knock down any high points. Real gentle stuff. Whoop, there's a bump. And I'm just following the tool rest along. So I've got air there, air, wood. There. So we'll stop that, check the tool rest, see if we can get her a bit closer, which we can now. So we'll bring her in a bit closer. Not that close. There. That spins okay. Make sure she's locked down. Turn her on. There we go. It's going to come back. Following the tool rest along.
I need a face shield.
Stop that again there. Joe went and got a face shield.
I got hit in the face.
There's bits pinging off all over the place. So we're just going to bring this round a bit closer again. Make sure she's good there.
How small is your head?
Turn it back on. Now with this lathe I can remove the box. If I stop that there. This is where remote boxes come in handy. So I can move the box along to my side of the tool rest. So I'm not having to lean across the lathe to turn it on and off. I want to just knock that high point down there. I'm going to get in as close as possible with the live centre in the way, and then I'll remove the live centre. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to get rid of the live centre just for a second. Bring the tool rest in and just tackle this end bit and start trying to get a flat in there that we can mount onto. We'll turn that back up. Just little light cuts along there.
What speed are you on?
Speed at the moment we're around about 450, 460. Quite slow. And I'm just now trying to flatten off the bottom to see if we can pick ourselves up a mounting point. And keeping everything behind the tool rest. My arm, my wrist, everything. There. So look what we're dealing with. So pop that up. We're getting there. There's a lot of rock. Now I normally mount by a spigot, but on a piece of wood like this I'm going to mount with a socket, and the socket will just become part of the foot for the time being. Now the reason for that is because the wood is so weak. If I did a spigot and anything could go wrong, the spigot could easily give up and the wood shear off and go. Where if I get into a solid base and put in a socket, then the jaws will sit inside, and then I should get a nice even grip pushing out on the wood. And it'll be into a more solid base. So just drop my shield down again. See if we can wick the speed up a little bit. We're up to about 550 now. Seems to be spinning all right. So just a very light cut in. Lifting the handle. Want to go onto that end camera. Mind your fingers. Just having the tool at the speed the wood's coming over the cutting edge. Raising the handle as I come into centre. Keeping it nice and careful, good bevel contact. Through there like that. And let's see if we've got, we need for a socket on my jaws about 50mm. We look like we're nearly there. We'll have one more in there. There. Right, I think we can get a mount into here. Now the wood's fairly secure there, so I'm quite happy that I'll get a mount. If I found it very soft, I could treat it with super glue to make sure I've got a secure fixing, but I think that that's going to be fine. So we'll start to put the socket in. I just realised something I didn't do.
What size gouge are you using?
I'm using a 3/8 gouge.
Thank you very much, Roger. Really kind.
Oh, thank you, Roger. That's very kind of you. I didn't mention, I've monetized the channel to try and keep the content coming to you and to fund the equipment. We're going to get another couple of cameras because a couple of the cameras we're using are not great. We've got the broadband coming in, all that sort of stuff, so that's why it was done. And thank you. So we've got this here. I'm now going to mark out. Typical me, left something where it shouldn't be.
Oh, however, it did come with a caveat.
The caveat.
Yeah. Can everyone donate so that Ed can use a decent piece of wood next week?
Right, I left my vernier over on the other lathe, so I was messing around with something and forgot to bring it back. So,
thank you very much, John.
Thank you, John. That's kind of you. Thank you. I am on 52 mil. My jaws are 50. I'm going to go 52. And what I'm going to do, I was reaching for the stream deck there, how we switch the cameras around to turn the lathe on, because I'm used to my controller being at the headstock. And because I moved it because of the piece of wood I'm on, I just want to bring this left point into here, line up the scribe line with the right point. Do not touch it with the right point, you'll be in trouble. We're there. Now I think the camera will pick that up. There's a scribe line just here where I'm pointing. I can see it. And we're in solid wood all the way round there.
Carol.
So.
Thank you very much. That's quite interesting. A sticker. That's cool. I like that.
Oh. Thanks, Pat. Thank you very much. So, what we're going to use,
#1 fan.
I'm going to just raise the tool rest a bit. I'm just using a 1/4 inch skew here, and I'm going to start cutting a socket into the base here. So I can see my line, and I'm just using it like a scraper, and I'm just going to run it along. Take this waste wood out. Now I could do this with a detailed spindle gouge.
Oh, thank you, Ian. Ian, I really approve that message.
Thank you, Ian. I've got that safety gear for Joe. He's wandering around with one of his spare face shields on. Now I'm going to have to put my shoulder into the camera. So if we come back to the overhead camera, because my body's going to come right round into the end camera there. Not such a good view for you guys, but let's just keep this going. Now I'm just raising the handle as I push in here, peeling this wood away. Joe's going to mess around with the cameras for you so we can get a better view. I'm out the way now, so we could go just back to the end camera. Will only be for a second. So I'm just lifting the handle to peel this wood away. Let's come back here. I think it's that one. Joe's pushing buttons, I'm pushing buttons. In a minute you're going to get Emmerdale. So, now I'm just going to come round. I want to create a taper on this socket for the jaws to sit in. There. But I've got to flatten that off. As per the spigot, the socket is the same. It's important this is flat just in here so that your jaws sit tight against it. There's no point on having a bumpy surface here because the jaws can then rock and we don't want it to rock. Now my jaws are around about 10 mil deep. So I'm going to use a bit of depth because of the strength of the wood. And I'm sort of trying to do this with my hands away from my body, not the way I would normally do it, so you can see on the camera. So I'm just bringing that out and flattening off that bottom now. We've got a nice little taper in there, not too steep a taper as the doors won't mount properly. And I'll just flatten that off. Now it's worth taking a bit of trouble over this, especially with a piece of wood like this. We want it to be secure. And I can see where I look, if I stop the lathe, I don't put my fingers near this. When I'm cutting here, I look on the opposite face and I can see exactly what's happening by looking there. So that's what I'm doing, and I can see that I'm flattening out that bottom. Very fine cuts, there's nothing.
Oh, thanks very much, Mark. Sorry, I was messing around with cameras and missed that.
There. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, John. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Right, so we now.
Yeah, but John's isn't for you. It's for Mrs. Oliver's next ball of wool.
Right. So we've now got a socket cut in here, and I'm just checking the integrity of the wood here to make sure she's
Thank
gonna
you very
hold.
much, Mike.
There. Thank you very much, Mike. I might wear the hat again in a minute. So now I'm going to bring my tool rest round, because what I'm going to do, I've got my socket cut, but now I'm going to start putting the outside shape in the bowl. So, and I can tidy up the socket at the end. So we're there. That turns freely. And now I can bring my tailstock back into play, adding as much security to the blank as I can all the way through this process. So if I bring that up, lock my tailstock off, wind the quill in. I'm not worried that it's going to make a little mark in the bottom, because I can tidy all that up at the end. But I'd sooner be secure as I can be. So we're free spinning, we've got our socket, so now we go with our shape. So my shield's back down, and I want to start putting, whoop, wrong gouge, too many gouges, lost my gouge. Right, found my gouge, no need to panic. So now what I'm going to do is stand with the tool against my body, handle low, just pick the cut up and start twisting my body away from the lathe, raising the handle to start getting a bit of shape into the bowl. Very light cut.
What's the difference?
Here's one you have to think about. Sorry?
One you're going to have to think about. What's the difference between a spindle gouge and a detail gouge?
Ah, right.
Is
Okay.
it just the grind angle?
Yes, it's just the grind angle. I've mentioned it. I'll show you. Hold on a second. Ouch. That was my elbow. That hurt. So, this is a very dirty, covered in paint spindle gouge. This is a standard spindle gouge, and you can see the tip. This is a fingernail grind, so I've ground away the wings and we come back with a curve. This is what I call the detail gouge. And let's get that up.
Have you switched that over the camera just to double check?
I don't know.
Side on.
Oh, we're side on. Let's come overhead, sorry. Right, there we go. So, that's the spindle gouge. It's just a fingernail grind back, so I'll get rid of the corners. You're able to twist it in more without the corners. A detail gouge is a little spindle gouge, but ground right down. This is about 25-degree grind, and it comes to this real pointy tip. They're not really designed to start doing your turning with, but if I want to come into here, I can come in at an angle and get right in either direction with that point to get detail. You can do a little bit of detail if you're doing fine finials. You can use them to get in, because the wings here will get into trouble, so it's ground back further. But that really is just a grind on a spindle gouge. That answers your question. Back with the face shield, and back to getting a bit of shape in our bowl. We're starting to get a curve coming, so we come round, tool against my side, just lift into the cut very lightly, twist away from the lathe, and I'm just bringing this round. When I cut, I look at the top and I can see my cut line, so hopefully you'll see if you can see that on the camera. I don't know if you can. You can start seeing this line as we go. Raise the handle as we come round. There. Now, my tool rest moved. I was coming round and I thought that tool rest is moving. So I sort of stopped the lathe. Well, while I've stopped the lathe, I'll just adjust it around a bit to give me what I need. And again, turning by hand to make sure that we're free. Back on. Pick the cut up here. I've got a bit too much I'm going to cut there. So I'm just going to come back with the bevel rub, handle towards my body to pick up a cut. And so cut the fine cut around that top. There. Now when people say rub the bevel, you don't want to be pushing your bevel into this, because you'll get in a void and have a problem. So it's a case of gently getting the bevel around. We got a bit of tear out here, there and everywhere. I'm going to show you how I'll deal with that in a minute. I'm still concentrating on getting the shape into this. Adjust my feet, pick the cut back up. I'm just looking at my ghosty shadow. To get my shape into here. Now what I'm looking at really is this solid bit of wood, because that gives me an idea of where we're at. It's not too bad. We're going to need a little bit more off. Not a lot, a little bit more. Yeah. Now, let me just come back. Now I'm just going to come back the other way now. So I'm rubbing the bevel, pushing myself towards the lathe, twisting in. And that's going to be our foot somewhere in there. Yeah. I'll keep checking, seeing where I'm at. So I've got a little way to go there. We've got a big void in here, or a little void in here that might cause us a problem. So a couple of more cuts inwards. Shield down. Just reduce this foot a little bit, somewhere there. Just nice and light.
What grind are you using when you're 3/8?
This is set to around about 50 degrees. Sorry, 40 degrees. That was a bit heavier cut. As you can see, there's some big shavings there, because I just want to get our shape in. So our shape's roughly in, and we've got a curve coming round here.
Should become a nice 6-inch bowl, Michael reckons.
I was aiming for 4, Mike, not 6, 4. So now we got a problem because the wood is so decayed. We're tearing out the grain a little bit. Tearing out the grain a lot, really, not a little bit. I'm making that up. There's a lot. So now what I'm going to do is switch over to a sharp gouge and just do a very couple of real fine cuts to see if I can get rid of this flaky wood. What was that?
Carol, lock the paint cupboard. This looks good.
There. So now with the handle really low, I'm just trying to take a real fine cut. I'm going to tidy it up completely when I reverse it into the jaw. And there we're tidying the grain up completely, so it is going to work okay. What you can do, if you get a little bit of loose bark going to come out there, I don't know if I can pull it out or if it's just going to fly out. Don't want to come out at the moment. Have to watch that, that's going to ping out in a minute. What you can do, if you get grain that just tears because the wood is so fractured, give it a coat of sanding sealer, thin sanding sealer, and let that sink in and dry, and then start your cut again. But we're able to get a reasonable finish on this at the moment. So I'm just going to come back with a fine cut the other way. Shavings are really fine, dusty things. Just bevel the tool at the speed the wood's coming over the cutting edge. Get that into there. there. And let's have another look. Little bit there. We've got a bump just in there, very fractional bump. Little bump there. So we just persist with this just a little bit longer. Now I just want to try and get in here. Get rid of that bump there. That's not bad, just in there. So I'm just going to come back the other way and then I'm going to put it into the chuck. Just a real light raise of the handle to bring the cut on and guide the bevel round, just almost floating the bevel rather than rubbing it. Cutting a little bit more here because the shape's just tad out on the bottom. That's better. Little bump in there. Sort that out in a minute. Right, so there's our basic shape. So what we're going to do now is remove the tailstock for a minute. Get the rubbish out of the way. Get the box back up there. Get that face shield off for a second. So what I will do now is...
Shay said epoxy resin and a ball of green wool will fill that void.
What we're going to do is we're going to leave the face plate connected. Now the reason I leave it connected, because the fibres are weak. If I take the face plate off and do this and it's wrong, now that's no good. Can you see the way that's rocking on there? It's not sitting good. Right, I just want to open the jaws out a little bit there, and then it doesn't rock. Well, it doesn't feel like it rocks. So there's a little bump in the middle there. So let me just expand that out a bit. I'm just making sure she won't rock. Right, so we turn the lathe speed right down. We stand right out the way. We turn it on and we just
duck behind the bench.
Turn it on just slowly. Grab me face shield because I don't want to stand in front of this piece of wood without a shield on in any way, shape or form. Now what I'm looking for is it running true just on the foot there? It's going to bounce with this test because of all the voids. But she looks like she's running fairly true, so I'll stop that. Make sure, just test, test, test. Okay. So I'm quite happy with the way that's running. I'm going to do a couple of tidying up cuts. Narrowing the chuck because everything's going to have to come off the chuck, and I can get into here to get round, so that's good. And the faceplate can now be removed. I'm comfortable to remove the faceplate. Don't mean nothing's going to go wrong, but I'm comfortable. I think if Joe had known what was happening today, he would have put on his American football kit. Might have been in with a chance of not getting injured. So, there we go.
I've had an accident.
Faceplate removed. Part 1. So to balance the blank up, what I'm just going to do is face off this blank a little bit, because that's all over the place. There. And again, even though I'm chuck mounted now, I can bring my tailstock up for a minute. Not going to do any damage. And just give it an extra bit of support. Bring tool rest up, turn it by hand. Make sure she's going to turn without catching. What we don't want to do on a piece of wood like this is get any sort of major catch, because
that's a big statement.
Fracture on you. So toolbox, control box back towards me.
You'll like this one.
What's that?
Ivor Longwalk, who's Nigel Warren, said, first time tuning into this video, good to see another talented turner producing an impressive piece. I don't know what he's watching.
People recognise talent when they see it. That's what it is. Might walk. So we're just raising the handle as we come in here. Slowly raising the handle.
And this is why you're not trusted with buttons.
I didn't move the camera, Joe's just come round to move the camera. So I've got the tool in the side. As I come along the tool rest, just raise my handle. Slowly. We're just roughing down the front of the blank at the moment. I'm really struggling here because my normal tendency is to rest my elbow on the tool rest as I go in, but I don't want anything the wrong side of the tool rest, so I'm having to concentrate, hold my arm back toward my body. Raise your handle. Right, we'll stop that there, see how we're doing. Now, if you can see this tear out here, this is wood is rotten, absolutely rotten. But the good wood at the edge is still solid. So
still turning at 100 RPM?
No, we're turning it around about 600 RPM. We've still got a little way to get it flat because we've still got a saw on edge here, so we're just checking it as we go. We're actually spinning at 645. I don't need to go all the way in now. One more and we'll check it. No, it's still a saw mark up there, so we want a little bit more off of here. Have a look at that. That's got us. So we're about there with the outside rim. Now, the bowl is going to have to be quite thick otherwise the good bits are just going to fly off. So the rim's going to be quite thick, but it will give us the voids that we were trying to achieve. The plan is coming together, as they say. So what I'm going to do now is bring my tool rest around the outside of the bowl, adjust that around, make sure she's fully locked up, turn it by hand nice and free, bring the mounting control box over the other side, and back with me sharp gouge, pick the wrong gouge up. This one I'm holding in reserve so I don't have to keep running off to the sharpener. And now I'm just going to do a couple of fine cuts to tidy up the outside if I can. Handle really low, follow the curve round. I'm just twisting my body, following the shape round as I go. And now what I'm looking for is this torn grain. I've got a little bit down there, a little bit there, and a little bit in there. So I'm going to give it one more cut. Very light if I can get in there. Just in there. Handles really low. Just float the gouge around very, very lightly. Raise the handle as we go. It's not too sad. So nearly got rid of that there. That bit's gone. That looks good. Little wallow in there, just a little bit there. So what I think I'm going to do with this now, I said to you, you can use sanding sealer. So
oh, thank you very much, Helen Bailey.
So thank you, Helen, that's very kind. Thank you. Now, you see this bit here is proper at it.
That one was for Mrs. Oliver's new hairdryer.
Mrs. Oliver's doing alright here. So, what we got is some thin down sanding sealer. And have I got a paintbrush I can use that's clean? That don't look clean. No, that's not clean. I wanted to apply it with a brush to get into the little, a clean paintbrush. So, I've got an old cap here. Let's go back overhead for you. Right, so I've got just a dish. I'm going to put the sanding sealer into the dish and then apply it with a brush where I want it in here. Now, this would be a nice piece of wood to clean out all this rubbish here, so that would be a job for the sandblaster, I think, once we see what's left. Once we try and holler it, because who knows what's going to happen once we try and holler this. I know none of you want to see it explode, because you're not them sort of people. Mike Walt. I'm just painting this on the solid bit of wood that I think I'm going to save.
Adrian said this could turn out to be a stunning piece, no pressure, Ed. I've replied with good could be the operative word, good is the operative word. And he's come back saying, have confidence, he's a master.
What you don't know is Joe's seen a lot of my turning over the years. And he's got full insight that things go wrong in the Oliver's wood turning shop.
I've seen you do a UKISS demo, you put a dent in the ceiling.
Yeah, there was a few years ago I decided to make the demo interesting and speed turn a few little bowls. And the moment got me because I didn't pay enough attention to a spigot, and the first little bowl or the second little bowl launched and hit the ceiling of the Hilton Hotel conference room. The others went all right. They were sort of round and hollowed. I never make life easy for myself. There's no fun in that. Yes. Now I prefer to put it on with a paintbrush because I can work it into any of the little areas where I've got little hollows and stuff. I'm just trying to really stick the grain together. That's all I'm doing, so that when we come back to the outside, I'll either sand it or try and cut it again. It'll probably be sanded, but we'll see. Trouble with too much sanding on a soft piece of wood like this is you will change the shape dramatically very quickly, so you're far better off cutting where you can. So it's a trade-off really. Now this should be a big void in here. Should. We could land up with nothing, people. Trust me, I've done it before. Ba-ching! Away it goes. Right. This is still soaking in, this sanding sealer, so if it's soaking in, I'm going to keep applying it. I want to see a residue sitting on the top, and then I know that the wood is impregnated as deep as the sanding sealer is going to go. I'll get this in here. Now I've changed my mind about one thing today already. I had ready a load of spirit stains and I was going to stain this, but looking at it, if it holds up, I think it'll be quite nice, Pat, so you're quite safe. It might be unstained, untarnished and just natural wood, and let the wood do the talking, because the patination with the sporting and the rot and everything that's going on here is really quite stunning. So even a paint heathen like me knows when not to put the flamethrower on something or the paint on something.
Prepare the sanding sealer.
The sanding sealer, this is the equivalent of a Chestnut product 50-50 mix. So you've got 50% cellulose sanding sealer and 50% cellulose thinners, and the reason you thin it is so that it sinks into the grain further.
People are happy that you're not painting.
I might change my mind yet, but at the moment I'm thinking
Stain it blue.
that looks pretty impressive, that piece of wood, if we can hold it together. If I keep saying if because I don't want anybody saying, oh, you should have done that with one hand behind your back. It really is a very fragile piece of wood. It's not the turner that's fragile this morning, it's the wood. The wood is fragile. So, typical me, I've used sanding sealer on a little brush. What I'm going to do now is just put the brush on the side. When I come back and find the brush, it will all be stuck together and be going in the bin. So, face shield on.
I'm about to get covered in sanding sealer here, aren't I?
Joe's just sussed it. He said, I'm about to get covered in sanding cedar here, aren't I?
I mean, they could probably hear me clearer than you with that face shit, though.
Alright, so. Quill out the way. Tool rest, move. We might have to adjust the camera because rather than lean over the lathe bed, I'm going to tilt the headstock out. Always make use of a tilting headstock if you've got one.
And then a shooting camera.
And we're going to come in here, set the tool rest up so we can cut on centre, lock her down, and make sure she's locked down because the tool rest, the banjo, is a long way over the side of the bed now. And that looks somewhere it. Joe's adjusting the camera. I won't turn the lathe on. That's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, we can see that. You can see that. That's fine. Everybody's got this. You'll be able to see the thing. I won't turn the lathe on just at the minute because where Joe was standing, he would definitely get covered in good old thin sanding cedar, but it's alright, we want to see here. Just that tool rest down just a tad. Lock that up. There, my gouge is going to come through on centre. So, turn it on, slowly turn it up. We're spinning at around about 600. Start to just bounce a little bit, and now I'm just rubbing the back of the bevel, lean the handle forward, pick up the cut, and away we go.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. It's kind of you. Thanks very much. Back of the bevel rub. Lean forward. Twist the handle anti-clockwise. And away we go.
Steve wants to know if you're running a fever. Well,
Running a fever?
I think it's because you're not using any paint.
Yeah, well, you never know. It might be a bit COVID. So back of the bevel, let me show you this. Back of the bevel, flute is pointing bottom of the flute at 3 o'clock. I lean the handle forward, the tip scores a line, so my bevel's intact. Rotate my wrist anti-clockwise, so my flute is now bottom of the flute, 2 o'clock. Little push in, and then just twist my body away from the lathe and rotate to centre. The one thing I've got to remember here is I've used a socket, which I don't use sockets often, so I can't go too deep, but we are going to be quite thick here because I could join the funnel club, and we don't want to do that live on a Saturday morning, do we? No. So
Stop and just give it a really wide rim.
someone told me to stop, really wide rim. There's your bowl. Hope you've enjoyed your demonstration.
And we want to clock off early. Yeah.
Right. Now, one of the tricks with this sort of wood is you've got to use sharp tools.
Mine was enjoying the funnel stuff.
And I can feel that crunching out there.
And Steve thinks it's a trick question.
So I'm going to swap over. I've got another gouge here. This is just a standard grind gouge. going to have a problem in the middle here, so we may have to glue this up, but we'll find out in a bit. You can see that it's poor timber because we're not really getting any shavings, they're just like fragmenting up into dust. Shadowing that cut down a little bit there. It's improving. Right, what I wasn't going to do is start sharpening gouges today, but I am going to whip a couple of these gouges. Oh, there's a sharp one. Hold on, do it in a minute. I am going to resharpen in a minute because this grain is really torn out on the bottom here, and I'm using light cuts. There's no pressure against the gouge here really. I'm just feeding the gouge through my hand as I go. There's our first void coming in. Got rid of that bit of bark before that flies out at me. Right. Another cut. All through here.
Mum just asked, why does it smell of apples?
Don't know, because it's rotten.
It does smell of apples, you're right.
The wood smells of apples, evidently. That's just the fungus and the rot, really.
Oh good, that's going into my lungs. I'm definitely buying that bomb suit.
Right, so we'll just carry on with a couple of more cuts and then I'll sharpen the gouges because then we want to start getting fine cuts. Thank you, Adrian. Very kind of you.
I'm just saying that you can afford a new hairdryer and vacuum cleaner. I've told them that I'm already siphoning the money off. Derek's decided that I do all the work. All he does is tell this is what I'm doing. Oh yeah. Make it really clear.
Now I keep stopping the lathe to have a look because I want these voids to open up here. I think we can get a void in there, just in here. I don't know that we're going to get a void in there. We might get something about there. But it's going to be a compromise all the time as to where we're at.
Yes please John, milk and two.
Oh, cup of tea. Level rub, just gentle, little push.
Trevor says you seem to have your flute at 12 o'clock. Really?
When I... Right, so... Flute's not at 12, so what happens is I start with the flute, if this is a clock face, at 3 o'clock, back of the flute. I just roll my body forward a little bit and the tip here scores a little line. As soon as I see that line, I just rotate my wrist a little way. So what the camera's, what you're seeing on the camera, this is actually, if this was a clock, the bottom of the flute is pointing up to around about the 2 o'clock. If I was at 12, it would look like that. And what would happen if I was at 12, I'd have no bevel support, I'd just be on the tip and bang. And we don't want bang with voids like this. So just gentle cuts, slower speed. I keep checking to see where I'm at. I don't want any sudden surprises. And if I just eye in there, we're only about this deep at the moment, so we've got a bit more depth to go. So I'm just going to come in and pick a cut up in the middle there. Give myself a depth marker. Just into there. So what I was doing there is just giving myself a depth marker, and I could see some brown, and there we've got a void coming in the bottom. There's all sorts going on in here, so I'm just checking it on the chuck, make sure she's still secure. And it is time just to quickly resharpen a couple of these gouges. So I'll be back with you in a sec. Talk amongst yourselves, have a sing song or something. We'll get a camera set up on this Pro Edge. The cameras have come back into stock now.
Need a long arm for that.
come over the top there. We're just discussing an arm. You wouldn't need too long an arm. And then you can see the quick sharpening technique that I use with this sort of long grind that I use. One more. And he's coming back. There we go. So that's those 3 tools sharpened. As quick as that. And now we're going to just move the tool rest in just a tad. Just finally adjust that around into there. Tilt the tool rest in there a bit. Make sure she's still spinning freely. Now we're just going to take a few fine cuts here. And each time I come back and go into the centre, I'll start coming nearer and nearer the centre as I reduce, because I put a sort of depth hole in there as a tester. So I'm just rub the back of the bevel, handle, little push. Then there. There. Okay. So we should come through about here in a moment. Couple of cuts. So we get a little void there. We've got this void here. I don't know if we're going to get a void in there. But check again. Right, so we're now getting to the final couple of cuts on the inside of this bowl. So what I'm going to do now is change tact a little bit, get my sanding sealer and my brush and glue the inside up. I want to get just a bit more depth out of there. Actually, we'll do that on the next cut. I just would like to get one more cut. I just want to get a bit more out of there. Not a lot, but a little bit. It's got a nice curve to the inside. I think I could just take a little bit there. So let's go again. Shield down.
See that bit of shaving on your camera? You genuinely can't see a thing.
Can't see a thing, shaving. She's gone. Right, so now we've got a little void just come up in there. I don't want to go too much more because it'd be quite nice to keep that little piece of wood on there, wouldn't it? I'd like to get one through there. That's just coming. So let's just pick a cut up just inside here. Now, you can see I'm a long way over the tool rest there. So what I've got is my, come back here, my handle is up my forearm and I grip near the top with my thumb so that I'm giving it counterbalance because I've got a lot of overhang. And that just don't want to come out of there, it's just going to leave us a bark inclusion. And I can't take too much more. I don't want to ruin my curve. I don't think that's going to last, that little bit there. It's flexing all over the place, which is a shame. We'll try, but it's not looking good for that little piece of wood there. So I'm just picking up. What I'm doing now is as I come in, I'm picking up the side bevel as a rub and leaning forward so I'm up at 12 o'clock. And as I get the cut, I'm just rolling my wrist over clockwise to get to my 2 o'clock position. So I'm side bevel towards the lathe, there's my cut. Packing. And that's why you wear a face shield. So what's happened is the rot here was so bad, it was gripped on with nothing and she decided to blow on us. There. So we could do one of two things here. We could either glue that back on with a clamp or have half a bowl. But that is a perfect example of why you wear face shields when you're doing wood like this. you don't understand the integrity
That's
of the
that
wood.
nice bit of all the dark colours and stuff.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Which is a shame. A shame, shame, shame. So, decisions, decisions, decisions.
Turn off bulb colour it now.
Could we glue that in there?
Roger's saying super glue.
I think we could. So, we're going to try.
Made you jump, Mark. I ducked.
So what I'm going to do is we're going to try and glue it. Because I think it was looking quite nice. So I've got a thin CA here that I'm
Roger
just...
said it's less to sand if you don't.
thin CA along this surface line here. We were somewhere there. And then thin CA on the other part. We use thin so it strengthens the fibres and also gets into the wood like so. I'm not sure this is going to work, but typical me, I've got CA all over my fingers. So now I just line it up and get it back in there to where it was. I've got more CA on me than I'm getting stuck to the wood all over the place. I've got some debonder over there. I'm going to use that in a minute. Just checking that it's stuck. There's a bit there. So, bit of debonder first. Let's debond myself. So I wash my hands in a bit of debonder. My fingernails stuck to my skin and my fingers are stuck together. All sorts of stuff here. How are we doing for time? Right. Okay, so we normally aim to finish about 11:30. I had one more little cut in mind and I thought I'd be there, but this is just throwing a little spanner in the works, so I don't know how well this is going to work. We'll find out in a minute. I'm just debonding myself at the moment. And that's why we were turning slowly as well. We'd come back to about 600 RPM. You wouldn't attempt to spin that wood fast because centrifugal force would have made that happen a lot sooner. Might have saved a bit of time, but
I'm a masterclass in how to deal with stuff.
if there's a will, there's a way.
And college replied with it's time for clean undies.
Well, because I was spinning slow and face shielded up, because there could always be a potential problem with a little bit of wood like this, you have to take safety first, and that's why I was keeping my whole body behind the tool rest.
Mike said don't worry about the time. It's packed with hints and tips for everyone. I think Mike likes a tip on how to deal with work that's been split. Oh, thank you, Derek.
So Mike's quite good at destroying goblets. And now I'm quite good at destroying bowls. Thank you very much, Derek. That's kind of you. Thank you. So I'm using about half a tube of debonder here, just to break this super glue up that's all over my fingers. While we're doing that, we're allowing the glue to go off to see if we've got something that's remotely strong enough to finish. I've got a little gap just here. So,
Mike, never.
What's that?
Totally shut up.
So I'm just floating a bit of glue into the crack line there. Now the beauty of this is the crack line sort of blends in with the wood, so we can get away with gluing her up if we can make it hold. That's our only problem here. A bit of thinning there. Ideally, I think the best idea here, hold on, another little tip, because I want to get the glue in the crack, and of course in this position that's not going to work. So if I remove the piece in the chuck, spanner out, useful toolbox, and I'll just get that off there, not me debonder all over the place, drop that there. Right, so if we come back to a overhead camera for you, which I think is that one, yeah, so you'll be able to see more now. So what's happened is it's fractured right the way where...
Face shield covers the camera.
Huh?
Apart from when your face shield
Oh,
covers the
hold
camera.
on. We're not spinning. Let me take my face shield off. Evidently I was covering your camera. I can't look at screens up, sideways and everywhere. So where she fractured...
It's even got better. Are you doing that on purpose?
What's that? Oh. I keep leaning my head in the way of the camera. I'll stand back here and point. So where it fractured is, if you follow my fingernail,
yeah.
down through here, and through here. So you can't really see the crack. And I think what happened is this bit here where the void is coming, that is where the rotten wood is, just there, and with that was holding it together, and ba-ching! So I've taken it off. Now what I'm going to do is float a bit of glue down the crack now so it sinks in along this crack line and that bark inclusion, and there, come either side of the crack and let her sink in there. Now I'm not too worried about it sinking in because we're going to sand it. I'm just trying to get a finished bowl now. This is like a challenge Annika piece. So we've got a bit of rot in there, so let's do that. Now you can use thin CA to do this, or you can use sanding sealer. Obviously with the events of 5 minutes ago, bang, I prompted for CA. Right, so I've just floated that around there. Now what I could do is spray this with accelerator. Not going to, because it turns it white, and I don't want white down in my dark bark area there. So what I'm going to use is a bit of boiled linseed oil.
Carol says a good demo. I'm proving the necessity for safety gear.
That's right. Well, that's...
Duct tape and some resin.
If this don't work, I've got some 6-inch nails, and we'll make it a sculptural piece with 6-inch nails into it, and then we'll add colour and fire and everything. We'll throw everything at it.
Or just throw it on the bonfire?
No, this is not going on a bonfire quite like this. But I can't emphasise enough safety equipment. You know, when you first start turning, you're going to get loads of little mishaps. Safety equipment. When you've been turning for a while and you tackle pieces of wood like this, safety equipment. You know, as I say, I normally with the demos Saturday mornings when we're doing a nice bit of sycamore or something.
Jay said a nice coloured epoxy.
Yeah, see, a lot of
Nice
people,
vein of coloured epoxy.
a lot of people like resin and wood. I haven't really got into that. The only reason I haven't got into it is I really don't like turning resin very much. Sticks to your lathe, sticks to everything. It's not like a shaving, so
Every time you use your pressure pot, it messed up.
so I'm not a real resin geek. So I'm using boiled linseed oil. The pen turners use this when they're doing a CA finish. And the boiled linseed oil seems to set the super glue. There. See, I can quite safely put my finger on there. Oh, it's stuck.
Only joking.
Only joking. I wouldn't have done that, would I?
Yeah. You
As if I would. So, now I'm just going to go over the other side. And I've got me crack in there. I've got a bit of movement there. I'm going to just try and get a bit of super glue in the external crack. Because it's floating. So I've got a bit there. Bit in there.
Head.
Oh, sorry. I'm leaning forward. I'm trying. My eyesight's not that good, so I've got to be close up. Or I could wear glasses, I suppose. That would be the other option.
The thing is, I can't even move the camera. It's cable tied to a bit of wood on us.
That's all right. So all I'm doing is following the crack on the outside and floating glue into there.
John just said, we don't want to know about your crack.
Now, what's happened in the past when I've got pieces of wood like this and glued them up, I hold the wood in one hand while tipping the glue on. The problem is with thin CA, lost the cap, thin CA, it flows through the crack and then your hand's stuck to the wood. So now I want to get some boiled linseed oil onto this, so I'm just going to
So wear gloves.
tip it on. This is going to fly everywhere in a minute. There, and then I'm just going to get a bit of paper towel in there best I can. I'm only getting the paper towel in there best I can because when I turn this back on, the oil's going to fly everywhere, isn't it? Now what I will do, I think, because I'm not going to give up on this, what I will do off camera in a bit is actually I've got a sandblaster and I'm going to put it in the sandblaster to clear up all the rubbish on there. I've got glue all over me lathe bed, glue all over me, paper towel. There.
Just wondering if there's a way we can set it up.
Huh?
Wondering if there's a way we can set it up.
There we go. Alright. Now,
If we unclip that.
that looks fairly strong. Looks fairly strong. So, I'm going to wind this back onto the chuck. There. That's on.
Yep, just when the monitor thought it was safe.
Yeah. Watch out, monitor. Here we go. So, let's put a cap on that. Now there was no catch there or anything, it was just purely the integrity of the wood gave up on us. So I'm just going to bring the tool rest round, turn it by hand to make sure that we're clear.
That'd be a very long live demo, Mike.
There. So, face shield back on. Lathe speed down to nothing, and then just turn it on really, really slowly. We're up to about 400 RPM.
Change camera angle.
Hold on. I'm just testing that. Right. So we're up to 400 RPM. I'm just going to face this little bit off here. Very fine cuts. Joe's moving cameras. Face this little bit off here. Very fine cuts. I'm just going to see if I can tidy that nib up in the bottom there with a very fine cut, and then we'll go to a bit of sanding. But we just got to be extremely cautious. Extremely cautious. So, freshly sharpened bowl gouge. Turn the speed on. Shield down. Joe's out the way. Tool rest is just a little bit high for this. I'm going to bring it round there. Try and get it a little closer. Right, so, oop, wrong gouge, sharp gouge, just very lightly, handle really low. These are the finest of cuts. Just travel the tool really, really slowly. At the speed the wood's coming over the cutting edge.
Someone trying to dump.
Eh? I'll get rid of them. Lock them. If you click on him, over there where the stars are, just there.
Right, yeah.
Remove. That's him gone, I think. We had one of our little spamming friends.
Oh, nice.
It's still there. I think you can block them somehow. So I'm just doing very fine cuts for here. Very fine. Have a look at that. Right, that's tidied the rim up and got us back into balance. We've got a little bit of really soft grain there, so we'll treat that with a bit of sanding sealer. So a bit of sanding sealer on there, and it's a bit fluffy just there. Obviously I don't, because of it exploding just now, I don't want it spinning too long if I can help it. There, so I'm just strengthen up that for sanding. We won't get the whole piece done today, but I will obviously sandblaster it, finish it and put it up as a finished piece, and it will be finished to show you next week. But I'll just show you a little bit now. I just want to try and get that bit in the middle. So I'm going to bring my tool rest in, make sure I'm at the right height, shield down, and I'm just going to come in here finest of cuts. Just want to tidy up that middle. Now I'm having to stand out the way in case she goes again. Just let the gouge creep up on that middle bit. There. Right, so we got the gouge into the middle bit. Keep checking this to make sure that it's firm. Yeah, so that's okay. So this will now be a little bump there. One more cut. There. Right, so that was one more cut in there. That's got it. So now what I would normally do is sand with an inertia reel sander, because I think it gives a real good finish on a piece of work. But here, this is one of the times where I'm going to opt to use a drill, bit of power sanding, because I can't spin. The inertia reels, you really want to be spinning at about 1000 RPM, but knowing that we've got this weakness here, I don't want to put this piece of wood up to 1000 RPM. There's only one thing that's going to happen there. We'd have 3 pieces of wood. So I'm just going to bring the extractor in. Whack the extractor on, Joe, please. So, we'll bring the lathe back, the extractor's on, just slowly, shield still on, face shield all the time, and I'm just going to use the drill Let's get it. I've got a little mark there, a little bit of a mark there. So what I'm doing, the sanding seed has started to clog up the sandpaper. I'm not going to bore you with a sanding demo, but literally what I'm doing is I'm using the bottom part of the pad trailing, and the top part is away from the wood. If I was to do that, then this could easily catch in this void, and then bang, we got 2 pieces of bowl again. Shield down. And we do the same on the inside. While I'm doing this, I'm twisting my body the same way as if I was cutting by wood. And I just want to do this last little bit. Right, so it's going to take a bit of finishing. It definitely needs a dust mask on. There's going to be a bit of sand in here, but I've done the bit that I needed to do realistically. So I shall take the chuck off the lathe again. If I remember where I put my locking pin in there. Who's laughing?
Everyone's saying stop. Someone made a comment about it because this is going to give me a heart attack watching this. I said it's going to make me laugh if it goes bang again. Derek's come back with what you think I keep watching it.
Right, so there we go. If I
switch to overhead,
bring this into the overhead camera shot, you can see that's where the crack was, and with the glue it's virtually disappeared. So what I'm going to do is I shall carry on sanding this, and you don't want a demo on sanding, but I shall carry on sanding this. Then I'll carefully do the same with the outside, sand that, and then this will go in the sandblaster to get rid of this mould, or I might leave the mould actually, not sandblaster it, just oil it. But it's going to take a bit of finishing. I would think I've got to make another cut in there, a couple of hours of work to finish. So let's come back to the old face on here. Come up here, so there's our voided bowl, if I can bring that up to the camera so you can see it. And I'll finish it with oil. We'll leave it as the same piece of wood, but rather than bore you with a sanding demo.
Derek's just put now people can understand why our plumb has a wide gap down the middle when he breaks down.
So it will be a nice piece of wood. We can get away with the joint, we're not going to see that, and it's fairly sound. I might float a bit more super glue in there and leave it to dry out for the rest of the day before I start. My intention is to get a bowl out of this, but safety equipment. So when you're turning pieces of wood like this or anything, make sure you got an impact resistant face shield. That's good. Make sure you've got your hard hat on so that anything flies off and hits you on the edge, you've got a bit of head protection. Thanks very much for the hack. I hope you've enjoyed your day with flying pieces of wood. I've enjoyed, as per normal, doing the demo for you all. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the little like button. That helps us all. Thank you all very much for your generous donations.
If you want to stay tuned, please feel free to subscribe, hit that alert button, and then you'll be notified every time we go live, in case you do forget that it's Saturday.
At 10 o'clock. So, another Saturday, another 10 o'clock demo.
I genuinely forget it's Saturday.
Oh yeah, Joe's worrying about what day of the week it is now. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your donations. And Mike, thanks for the hat. Have a good day. I'll hang around if anybody's got any questions or comments on how not to do things. Just ask. I can tell you a lot about how not to do something. I'm quite good at that. Sorry? Face shields. I've just been told, because Mrs. Oliver's in charge, they are going to be back in stock mid-August, so I'm told.
Oh, thank you very much. Fred?
Thank you, Fred. For some reason, me chat's not scrolling up. What have I done now?
Oh, is it because I made myself a moderator and started blocking people?
Joe was blocking someone.
The power went to my head.
Cheers, Mike. Thanks, Helen. Thank you for popping along. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Mike, are you demoing tomorrow evening? I didn't see anything on Facebook this week.
Yeah, he is.
Your demo. Mike walks on tomorrow evening at 7 or 7:30, Mike. I never remember.
And if he wasn't, he is now.
And if you wasn't, you are now, unless you're committed to something else. Cheers, James. Thanks, Michael Stratton. Glad you enjoyed it. Cheers, John. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks, Adrian. Yes, enjoy your weekend. Bye, all. Thanks, Mark. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks, Pat. Thank you very much. Thanks for popping by. Wivey, thank you. Cheers, Clive. Thanks, Jax. Have a good weekend. Cheers, Shay. Thank you for stopping by. Cheers, Stephen. I'm covered in super glue. You wouldn't believe how much super glue I'm picking off my fingers. Oh, thank you very much, Neil. Very kind of you. Thank you.
You've got really close to the camera,
I've got close to the camera. I'll step back. That's my eyesight trying to read the screen again.
I can do this.
Mike's going to do a demo on a knitted hat. I don't think so. Oh, Joe's now. No, it was better the other way. I can't see a thing now. The camera's in the way.
Okay.
There we go. Alright. Cheers, BB. He's doing an off-centre bowhead. Oh, Mike Walt. Oh, good. Dunk, morning, and thank you. Have a good weekend. The bowl will be finished and everybody will see it. Hello, Paul. Missed you this morning. Thank you for stopping by. Glad you've enjoyed it. Well, you heard it go bang, Paul, so that tells you that the piece of wood flew apart. You don't have to see that. If you hear that sound, get ready to get it. Or something to get it. See you, Robert. Right, people, if everybody's done, I would like to lose the woolen hat. Not that I don't love it, Mike Walt. Thanks, Andy. I am going to remove this hat because it is very warm. I am going to remove this smock because it's very warm.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
That was me.
Thanks, Derek. Cheers, Brian. Cheers, John. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. All things being equal, of course. Derek, you'll be there. What, Mike's demo tomorrow? Weren't you barred? I thought you were barred. One of the best parts of the weekend, you heard the bang, yeah? Well, that was the bowl coming in too. The weak wood gave up on us. Right, everybody. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Thanks for everything. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And I look forward to chatting with you on other live streams over the weekend. And I would, yeah, my favourite, Pink Floyd. And hopefully we're all back next weekend with an update on the broadband situation and whatever else goes on. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.